There is a mystery in the ordinary, a quiet power in the smallest of things. Often, when we seek to change our lives, we look to great, sweeping moments, grand gestures that shake the earth beneath our feet. Yet, the true transformation does not come from the thunderclap, but from the whisper. Consider the seed, a tiny, humble thing easily overlooked, but in its smallness lies the promise of a towering tree. The seed does not shout, it quietly burrows, takes root, and grows. So too are the small habits we cultivate each day, the secret roots of our destiny. We are shaped not by the big decisions alone, but by the little choices made repeatedly, invisibly, in the corners of our days. A single word of kindness, a moment of discipline, a breath of patience. These are the grains of sand that build mountains. What is a habit? It is the invisible architecture of our lives. It carves out the path we walk, the character we embody, and the future we inherit. One small habit, repeated over time, will either build you up or tear you down. It is the silent ruler of your world. Do not despise the small beginnings. Remember, a river is made drop by drop. A journey begins with a single step. The power of small habits is the power of persistence, of faith in the process unseen. And there is a divine order in this. Just as the seasons turn with certainty, so too do small habits, when kept, bring about inevitable change. You cannot control the speed of transformation, but you can trust the rhythm of steady effort. Like the dawn that breaks slowly but surely, your life too will be renewed. What habits will you choose today? What small acts will you repeat tomorrow? For in those choices lie your future, not in some distant, extraordinary moment, but in the quiet consistency of your daily walk. Embrace the power of the small. Honor the invisible growth, for it is there, in the smallest habits, that the great changes of life are born. True transformation is often misunderstood as something dramatic, a sudden event that changes everything in a flash. We imagine a life-altering moment, a lightning bolt of inspiration or a revolutionary decision that instantly turns our world upside down. But real change is rarely so spectacular. Instead, it emerges from small, consistent actions repeated day after day. These actions may seem insignificant at the moment, barely noticeable even, but over time they accumulate power that reshapes who we are and how we live. When we focus only on big gestures, we set ourselves up for disappointment. We wait for a moment that may never come, or we try to force a sudden overhaul of our habits and fail because the effort is too overwhelming. This all, or nothing mind, blinds us to the true source of transformation, the quiet, steady progress made in the hidden corners of our lives. Consider the process of learning a new skill. No one becomes a master overnight. It requires daily practice, sometimes just a few minutes at a time, and those small efforts add up. The same principle applies to changing our health, improving relationships, or cultivating a mindset of growth. The power lies not in the size of the act, but in its consistency and repetition. Each small action is like a drop of water. Alone, it may seem powerless, but when those drops fall steadily, they can carve stone. Transformation is not about a single moment of brilliance, but a lifetime of small choices. It's a patient and deliberate process, built on the foundation of daily habits. When we grasp this truth, we begin to see the potential in the mundane and the ordinary, understanding that the path to a better life is paved with small, consistent steps. Small habits hold a power that is often underestimated because they are so easy to overlook. They are like seeds, tiny and unassuming, easily dismissed as too small to matter. Yet within each seed lies the potential for something far greater than its size suggests. Just as a seed contains the blueprint for a towering tree, so do small habits contain the blueprint for the life we want to build. A seed doesn't announce its importance. It doesn't rush to grow or demand attention. Instead, it quietly settles into the soil, taking root beneath the surface where it is unseen. This quiet beginning is the foundation for all that will come. From that tiny, unnoticed start, roots spread out and deepen, drawing nourishment and strength. Gradually a stem pushes upward, leaves unfurl, and eventually a mighty tree stands tall, offering shade, shelter, and fruit. This process takes time, patience, and steady growth. Small habits function in the same way. A simple decision to read a few pages each day, to drink water instead of soda, to take a short walk. These are small actions. By themselves, they might seem insignificant, but repeated consistently, they take root in the fabric of our daily lives. Over time, these small actions become habits, and habits shape our character, health, and mindset. Just as a tree cannot grow without its roots firmly planted, we cannot transform our lives without building our habits one small step at a time. The cumulative effect of these small habits is often invisible in the moment, but their impact is profound. They create a steady upward momentum that propels us toward growth, strength, and stability. The smallest seed can grow into the mightiest tree, just as the smallest habit can grow into the foundation of a changed life. Our lives are shaped far more by the little choices we make every day than by the big, dramatic decisions that capture our attention. While we often imagine that major turning point, quitting a job, moving to a new city, or making a bold career change, define who we are, it is actually the small, seemingly insignificant decisions repeated over time that truly mold our character and destiny. Every day, we face countless moments of choice. What will we eat for breakfast? Will we get out of bed a few minutes earlier to exercise or hit the snooze button? Will we respond to challenges with patience or frustration? These tiny decisions might feel inconsequential when viewed alone, but their cumulative effect is powerful. Like drops of water wearing away stone, the habits formed from these little choices carve the shape of our lives. Big decisions can set us on a new path, but without consistent small choices that support them, they rarely lead to lasting change. For example, deciding to live a healthier life is important, but it is the daily choices to eat well, move our bodies, and rest enough that actually bring that decision to life. Without these small, repeated actions, the big decision remains just a wish or a fleeting moment of motivation. Our character, values, and the life we build emerge from these everyday choices. They are the bricks laid one by one that construct the foundation of who we become. Over time, these small choices become habits, and habits become the lens through which we view the world and react to it. They shape our mindset, influence our relationships, and determine our success. Understanding this truth gives us a new perspective on how change happens. It invites us to focus less on dramatic transformations and more on nurturing the small, daily choices that quietly but steadily guide us toward the life we desire. Habits are the invisible architecture that shapes our lives. We rarely see them working, yet they form the foundation of who we are and who we become. Like the unseen framework inside a building, habits support everything we do, guiding our actions, thoughts, and reactions without us even realizing it. They are the forces behind our routines, our behaviors, and ultimately our identity. Each habit is a building block, small and often unnoticed, but when combined, they create the structure of our daily existence. The way we start our mornings, how we respond to stress, the choices we make in our relationships, these are all shaped by habits we have formed over time. Because habits operate below the level of conscious thought, they are incredibly powerful. They can either lift us up or hold us back, depending on their nature. The invisible nature of habits can make them feel unimportant, but this is far from the truth. They are the blueprint for our future. A person's habits reveal who they truly are because they show what is repeated daily, not just what is spoken or intended. Our character is the sum of our habits, not our aspirations or fleeting emotions. This means that to change our lives, we must first change our habits. It is not enough to have good intentions or big dreams. The habits we cultivate are the forces that will either bring those dreams into reality or let them fade away. Habits build the pathways in our brain, making certain actions easier and more automatic over time. They shape how we perceive the world and how the world perceives us. In this invisible architecture, every habit counts. It constructs the life we live and the legacy we leave behind. Becoming aware of this power gives us the ability to choose which habits to build and which to break, shaping our destiny from the inside out. One small habit, repeated over time, holds the extraordinary power to build or destroy. It may seem insignificant when viewed in isolation, a brief moment of choice, a single action barely noticed. Yet, the true impact of a habit is revealed only through its repetition, day after day, month after month. This steady rhythm of repetition transforms the small into something mighty, shaping our character, our health, and our destiny. The power of repetition lies in its ability to create change beneath the surface. Each time we repeat a habit, we strengthen neural pathways in the brain, making that action easier and more automatic. Over time, what once required effort becomes a natural part of who we are. The habit grows roots deep in our identity, influencing how we think, feel, and respond without conscious effort. This invisible process determines whether we rise or fall, thrive or struggle. On the positive side, small habits can build strength, resilience, and success. A daily habit of reading enriches the mind. A habit of kindness builds relationships. A habit of discipline cultivates achievement. These repeated actions add up to a life transformed, brick by brick, choice by choice. Conversely, harmful habits also repeat with relentless force. A small moment of anger, a poor nutritional choice, a neglected responsibility, repeated over time, these erode character, health, and opportunity. They weaken us in ways that often go unnoticed until the consequences become clear. This truth reveals a profound responsibility. What may seem like a minor choice is never truly minor. Each habit, no matter how small, has the potential to either build us up or tear us down. The outcome depends not on a single moment, but on the faithfulness to the repetition that follows. In this way, the power of a single habit multiplied through time shapes the trajectory of our lives in ways far beyond what we can see in the moment. Small beginnings are often overlooked, dismissed as too insignificant to matter. We look at the big picture and feel overwhelmed, thinking that change requires a grand entrance or a sudden leap. But every great journey starts with a humble step, and every mighty accomplishment begins with a simple action. The power of small beginnings lies in their ability to set in motion a process of growth that, while slow and often invisible at first, becomes unstoppable over time. When a tiny seed is planted in the soil, it does not immediately burst into bloom. Instead, it rests quietly beneath the surface, sending out roots that anchor it and draw nourishment. This quiet beginning is the foundation for all that follows. Similarly, our efforts, when they start small, provide the grounding needed for lasting transformation. Whether it is waking up 5 minutes earlier to pray, writing a single sentence toward a goal, or making a small change in diet, these modest acts carry the potential to create extraordinary results. Small beginnings also teach us patience and perseverance. Change does not happen overnight, and the slow pace of growth can test our resolve. Yet, by honoring small steps and recognizing their importance, we cultivate faith in the process. This faith is what keeps us moving forward when results are not immediately visible. Often, it is the accumulation of small beginnings that leads to breakthroughs. What once seemed insignificant gathers momentum, building strength until it reaches a tipping point. At that moment, transformation unfolds rapidly, and the years of steady effort reveal their value. By embracing the power of small beginnings, we open ourselves to the possibility that even the smallest effort can ripple outward, changing our lives in profound ways. It is in the simple, daily acts where great change begins. Persistence in small habits is the quiet force that leads to inevitable change. It is not flashy or dramatic, but steady and unwavering, like the slow turning of the seasons or the steady drip of water that shapes the hardest stone. The power of persistence lies in its consistency, choosing to return to the same small action again and again, even when progress seems invisible or discouraging. When we persist in small habits, we tap into a process that compounds over time. Each repetition adds strength and momentum, creating a foundation that cannot easily be shaken. This compounding effect means that small changes maintained consistently grow into significant transformations. Like planting seeds in fertile soil, persistent habits take root and flourish, ultimately producing fruit that nourishes every area of life. Often, the greatest challenge is not starting a habit, but maintaining it. The initial excitement can fade, obstacles arise, and motivation wanes. Yet, persistence in the face of difficulty is what separates temporary efforts from lasting change. It is the choice to keep going day after day that builds resilience and character. This persistence forms a rhythm in life, a steady drumbeat that drives progress forward. The path of persistence is also a path of faith, faith that the small actions matter, even when results are not immediately seen. This faith sustains us when doubt creeps in and when the temptation to quit grows strong. By trusting the process and committing to persistent effort, we align ourselves with a natural order of growth and transformation. In the end, persistence in small habits transforms not only our actions but our identity. It rewires our minds, reshapes our attitudes, and changes the trajectory of our lives. This quiet, faithful persistence is the engine of inevitable change, turning small beginnings into remarkable outcomes. The process of change is often slow but certain, much like the steady turning of the seasons. Just as winter gradually gives way to spring and spring blooms into summer, transformation unfolds in its own time, unhurried, deliberate, and purposeful. This natural rhythm reminds us that meaningful change rarely happens overnight. Instead, it develops quietly beneath the surface, growing stronger and more visible with each passing day. When we seek change, we may desire immediate results, impatient for the outcome. Yet, real transformation is more like a journey than a sudden event. It requires us to trust in the slow unfolding of progress, even when the results are not immediately apparent. The turning of the seasons does not rush. It moves steadily, following a divine order that brings renewal and growth in its appointed time. This understanding encourages patience and perseverance. Just as farmers wait for the right season to harvest their crops, we too must wait for the habits and changes we nurture to come to fruition. The slow pace does not mean that nothing is happening. In fact, the deepest work often takes place beneath the surface, where it cannot yet be seen. Like roots growing deep underground, habits strengthen and develop quietly, preparing us for the growth that will eventually burst forth. The certainty of this natural process offers hope. No matter how small or hidden the change may seem today, it is part of a greater pattern of transformation. By aligning ourselves with this rhythm, committing to steady effort and embracing patience, we participate in a timeless cycle of renewal. The slow but sure process of change reminds us that lasting transformation is not a matter of chance or luck, but of faithful, consistent action in harmony with the natural order. Your future depends on the daily habits you choose today. This truth reveals a profound reality. The life you will live tomorrow, next year, and beyond is being shaped right now by the small decisions you make each day. Every choice, no matter how seemingly insignificant, lays a brick in the foundation of your future self. The habits you build today become the lens through which you see the world, the energy that fuels your actions, and the patterns that determine your success or struggle. Often, we think about the future as something distant, something that will arrive fully formed when the right moment comes. But the future is not a sudden event. It is the sum of countless moments accumulated over time. Your habits are the daily currency of that future. What you invest in your mind, body, and spirit each day will multiply and grow into the reality you experience. For example, choosing to read, learn, or practice a skill for a few minutes each day builds knowledge and expertise that will serve you in the years ahead. Choosing to move your body regularly creates strength and health that sustain you long term. Even small choices like how you manage your time, the attitude you adopt, or the words you speak become habits that shape the trajectory of your life. Understanding that your future depends on today's habits calls you to awareness and intentionality. It means that success is not reserved for the lucky or the gifted, but is accessible to anyone willing to commit to daily, purposeful action. Your habits become the architects of your destiny, quietly building the person you will become and the life you will live. This realization empowers you to take ownership of your present choices. It invites you to ask, what habits am I nurturing now? Are they leading me toward the future I desire, or away from it? Great life changes are born in quiet, consistent effort. They rarely come from sudden bursts of energy or dramatic moments of inspiration. Instead, they emerge from the daily discipline of showing up, choosing the small right actions over and over again. This steady commitment, often unnoticed and uncelebrated, is where true transformation takes root. The world around us often celebrates the extraordinary and the immediate, but the deepest changes happen beneath the surface, in the routine and the mundane. It is the consistent effort to improve, to push just a little harder, and to stay faithful to small habits that builds momentum over time. This momentum becomes unstoppable, carrying us forward even when motivation fades or obstacles arise. Each day, when we choose to engage in small acts of growth, whether it's a moment of reflection, a step toward a goal, or a decision to persevere, we are laying down the foundation for lasting change. These small efforts accumulate, layer by layer, creating a solid structure that supports a new way of being. Consistency also trains the mind and heart, building resilience and character. It teaches us patience and faith in the process, reminding us that change is not a race but a journey. The quiet efforts may seem insignificant in the moment, but their impact is profound. They shape not only what we do, but who we become. Understanding that great change comes from quiet, steady effort shifts our focus from seeking quick fixes to embracing the power of persistence. It challenges us to honor the small victories and to recognize that each step forward, no matter how small, moves us closer to the life we desire. Through this daily dedication, transformation unfolds, not in leaps and bounds, but in steady, powerful progress.